All right, everybody, the recording has started. So just so y'all know, when I am speaking and showing you guys my screen, can everybody see my screen? I'll switch it to the actual PowerPoint here in just a second. I cannot see the chat. So I have my phone that allows me to see the chat. So if you see me kind of looking in a couple different places when I'm on camera, that is why. So I wanted to make sure that y'all knew that. That way I can see any questions. And Allison and I kind of help each other catch the chat too. But we wanted to make sure that you all knew that I kind of have to look between both the screens. And also, disclaimer, I am coming to y'all from Pensacola, Florida, and we have major, major weather rolling through. I swear every time I live teach, and Allison could attest to this, there's some kind of like natural weather issue that happens. So bear with me if my internet happens to go out. I do have multiple internet sources because my power is already flickering out here in Pensacola. If it rains or storms, we lose internet and power in Pensacola like so easy. I don't know about y'all, but wherever you're from, please let us know. That's one of the best parts about these webinars is being able to chat with people that are from all over. So we're going to give folks just a couple minutes to get kind of logged in and get situated. And I see that we have some fellow Floridians. Even Debbie is here, Pensacola, Florida, which is so crazy. I know that I saw Pennsylvania. I know that I saw Colorado. A couple other Floridians have joined on South Carolina. Oh, I love it. See, this is the best part about the webinar. So be sure to tell me too how your term is going so far. If you are getting kind of in a routine and getting used to SNHU 107, how you're kind of liking the SNHU experience so far. That's one of the best parts about these webinars too. We will answer a lot of questions about this week's assignment for week 6 and your upcoming assignment for that final project in week 7 during this session. We'll be here for about 30 minutes or so. It is recorded. So if you have to hop off or you have any technical difficulties or you want to go back and watch it as many times as necessary, it will be up where you have found the webinars all term long, okay? So have you all seen the webinars before? I'm going to flip on my camera because we're going to get started here in just a sec. Have you guys seen the other webinars from week to week? Have they been helpful for you in kind of understanding where to find things? What to do with your assignments, because that is one of the best parts about the learning community is I like that you all have that opportunity to be able to have somebody kind of show you where to find things. Because I know it can be difficult sometimes just to know where to click and where to go, especially if you've been out of school for a while or never been in school. I know that that can be a little nerve-wracking. So we're just so glad that you're here and that you guys have all chosen SNHU and that you got to take SNHU 107. So welcome officially. We're going to go ahead and get started. The recording has started to your week 6 webinar for the SNHU 107 learning community. So first and foremost, as always, y'all, your experience here at Southern New Hampshire University is so important to us. It's our policy and practice to create an inclusive and accessible learning environment. If there are any aspects of instruction or course design that present barriers to accessibility, please notify the Online Accessibility Center, the OAC, as soon as possible at 866-305-9430. You can also email our incredible OAC team at oac@snhu.edu or visit the Online Accessibility Center website. I'd like to give a reminder that the OAC team is here to give students and learners just like you content in a way that works best for you and your learning style. This could be webinar sessions, this could be classroom content. If there's something you have questions about or you're not sure about, reach out directly to the OAC team. Don't be nervous to reach out to them if you're just wondering if it might be something that's for you. They are here to answer those questions. Okay, couple of webinar housekeeping reminders. You don't need a microphone or camera, just be able to see and hear me. And we do have a transcript for this webinar available also, shall you need it. Use the chat for any questions that you might have or to kind of share your feelings or kind of share what's going on. That's the best place for us to be able to see what you have. Keep in mind, if you just popped in, I can't see the chat typically as I'm live, but I will go back and check it on my phone. It's running too, to make sure I don't miss any questions. And Allison and I kind of help each other out in that area too. We are in an academic space, so always be mindful of your conduct. These webinars are not mandatory. They're not graded. There's no extra credit points, but I sure hope that you have had fun and learned a little bit from week to week, and you'll continue to watch them all the way through the next couple of weeks. So y'all, we are week 6. Can you believe it? I mean, high fives, heck yes. Lots of woohoos. Like, you have officially made it past the halfway point of your SNHU 107 term, which is super exciting. So this week, it's kind of nice. All you have is that week 6 journal assignment, right? I don't know about you, but even as a faculty member, I like it when we get to week 6 because it kind of is like a deep breath, especially after last week where you had like a warm up, a journal, and a discussion assignment, all that were out there. So it's just great to kind of have like just this assignment this week. So as a reminder, you do have the journal assignment this week. It is due, pop quiz. When is it due, y'all? By Sunday. Okay. So this week we are literally centering in on the topic of feedback. So like every other journal assignment you've had in STU 107, you want to open up that template document. I always encourage students to type directly in that document if they can. So if you make your own document or kind of copy and paste and create your own, that's fine. But y'all double check that you have all pieces and parts of the actual assignment, because every time somebody creates something new, they forget like part of a question or they forget an entire question. So just remember that. That's why the templates are there. You can just open them right in and you can type directly in there. But if you do kind of create your own thing, just make sure you have all the pieces and parts and all the questions. I don't want to see you miss those points. So this week in week 6, you are answering these 5 questions all about the topic of feedback. Why feedback from others is important. Number 2 is to describe your perceptions regarding receiving feedback and how does receiving feedback make you feel? And are you somebody that you might need to improve your reaction to feedback? Question 3, describe how you can use past feedback to inform how you give and receive feedback now. And what have you learned from past experiences in which you've received feedback? Question 4, describe the impact that diversity awareness has on giving and receiving feedback when communicating and collaborating with others. What problems could you run into if you do not understand diversity awareness when communicating and collaborating with others? And the final question, describe how you can use strategies for interacting with diverse groups of people as you give and receive feedback. Oh, it's a mouthful, right? The biggest thing is, as you'll notice, the theme throughout this entire assignment is centered around feedback, your experiences with feedback, what you maybe could change or do better with feedback, what you've learned from any feedback that you've gotten over your lifetime and your experiences, and then where diversity awareness comes in. Now, a lot of students will ask me, like, I don't know if what I've gotten for feedback. This could be, you could use high school experiences. You could use personal experiences. You could use professional experiences. This could even be like personal stuff, like maybe a friend or family member, maybe you got in a little argument and you didn't see, both sides of the story. So you had to kind of talk about like how you worked through everything. Maybe somebody gave you some ideas of what you could improve upon, either at work or an assignment. Those are some great examples of feedback. Okay. Does that help with that? I know a lot of students sometimes ask me, like, can I use personal, professional, academic? Does it have to be academic? It can be any of the above. The biggest thing is answer the questions, give your perspective, write in complete sentences, and include the details. Okay. So reminder, this assignment is due on Sunday. So any questions about week 6 assignment before I head into the week 7 stuff a whole week early? Anybody? I'm going to check the chat real quick and just make sure. Yes, Allison. I always love when Allison tells you all that. Trust the template. It's easy to use and it's there for a reason for y'all, okay? So I don't see any questions, it looks like, about week 6. Looks like we're all good there, which is awesome. So let's talk about week 7. So Allison and I like to get together and walk y'all through how to use the academic support team and their services here at the university, but also this Module 7 final project early, okay? So we're in week 6. Your final project doesn't come into play until next week, week 7. Your final project is due the Sunday of week 7, okay? Why we talk about it early is to give you the opportunity to get a head start on it, put it together, and hopefully use one of the academic support writing services just to make sure that you kind of got everything, you answered everything completely, and just be really confident in turning in that final project because it's worth a significant chunk of your grade. If anything, y'all, I want you to remember to turn this document in. You have worked so hard all term long to not turn it in, okay? This document is a template, just like assignments you've done previously in the class, okay? You will notice some similarities between some of the concepts and the what you're answering in the final project than what you have done previously in the STU 107 class. But the questions are worded a little bit differently. What I want to remind you of is when we get done today, before we hop off, I'm going to go through the entire example of the project, so you kind of have an idea of what to say and things you need to be thinking about. But this project is really about connecting the dots for your entire SNHU 107 class, okay? Thinking about what you've learned about prioritizing your time, what your kind of daily schedule looks like, who are your interruptions and how you can overcome them. We kind of talked about that way back in week 2, remember? And then you're also going to talk about in your project, your academic mission statement and those 3 short-term goals that you did in week 4. Everybody remember those? So with that, these are some things you've already done, right? So it's really important, especially when you come to the part about your mission and short-term goals, to take a look at what your faculty member said in that graded feedback when they graded the assignment to see if you need to make any changes or additions, okay? But there will be some questions that you're like, I feel like I did part of this in an assignment previously in SNHU 107. You did. But you want to make sure that you're paying attention to how the questions worded on your final project and making sure that you answer the whole thing. Okay. So it's not really anything new. It's just really connecting the dots and tying everything together from what you have learned from week to week in your SNHU 107 class into kind of one final document. Okay. As a reminder too, use the template for this assignment. If you decide to be creative and create your own, just make sure you have all pieces and parts of the template. And don't forget to use your resources. I see the question in the chat about using the template like you have before. Yes, your final project has a dedicated template assigned to that module. And I'll show you guys, I'll share my classroom too before we hop off, so you can see like where to find it and where to click and get everything that you might need for that. Before we do that, it is so important that y'all know that you have so many resources here at SNHU. And I know we've talked a lot about our SNHU resources, so the departments, the people, the places, the things that are here from the university. In addition to, we've talked about the support that you have outside the classroom, right? Like your social supports. One of our SNHU resources is here with us today. And I saw in the chat that we might have been a little bit, you might have hopped in late. Totally fine. This is recorded. It'll be up as soon as I get it downloaded and posted on the First Year Experience YouTube channel. So you can go back and watch it as many times as you need. Somebody said sound was messing up. Am I still good? I want to make sure. Okay,
you're still good.
Perfect.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Wonderful. Sometimes too, if y'all are logged into multiple things, Teams takes a lot of internet energy. And so if you're kind of multitasking, it can make the sound lag because it's trying to like host the webinar. So just know that, shut everything else off if you can. If you're at work and multitasking, I totally get it. But I want to introduce to you one of our special guests here, one of my favorite humans at SNHU, Allison Johnson. Allison is joining us today from our amazing SNHU Academic Support team. Has anybody used the academic support services at all yet? If you have, pop in the chat, let us know what you've utilized. But I like to share a few fun facts about our webinar guests because y'all get to know me and hear my voice all term long. So I think it's so cool when you can meet and see the other amazing humans that are here at SNHU. So I love that she talks about how she used to teach English, high school English, in a rural town that didn't even have a traffic light. So where are my students that live in the small towns? Maybe live in the rural areas. Like, she totally gets it. She's been an academic advisor for online students, which all of you here are online students. She loves to work with students who have been out of school for a while. So where are my students that it's been a minute since you've been in school and now you're back? She's a huge fan of stand-up comedy and has a collection of old comedy records, which I absolutely love that fun fact about Allison. But the biggest thing for y'all to know is that she is one of the many resources that'll help you in your success here at SNHU. So how this is going to kind of work is I'm going to ask her some questions. She's going to give some answers. We're going to go back and forth, and then we will run through the classroom space and your final project for Module 7. Sound good? Oh, and look at this, Allison, a bunch of them have been using some of the different services that y'all have, which is so cool. So Allison, first and foremost, how do students find and access academic support?
So this picture kind of shows you the top menu of your class. And so if you look above the little picture banner, you will see right next to Shapiro Library, right next to Help, Academic Support. If you click on that, it pops you right into the Academic Support area where you have a bunch of different options for support. So we have a lot of different ways for you to access things because everybody's a little bit different in terms of what sort of help they like to get and when they like to get it. So that's our next question. right?
Yes, right. That is the quickest way to get there, y'all. It's in every classroom right at the top. And I think that's so nice. We made that change here like a few couple terms ago, and it's just really easy. Just go in there when you log into Brightspace, you're going to see it right there at the top. Just click and it's going to bring up this lovely menu. So Allison, students always ask us faculty, is academic support only for students in STEM 107? And like, what are these options? They kind of pull up these service menu and they're like, I don't even know what all this is. Can you kind of run through them for us?
Yes, it is. It's a lot, and the answer to the first question is we are here for every SNHU student, from undergraduate all the way up through graduate level, and the only kind of rule is we need to be working on your student work. So if you have resumes, the Career Center is really great for that. If you're working on some other things, there's probably some club opportunities or group opportunities, but it's for whatever you're working on in your classes, your coursework. Um, and then we have a couple of different ways to access help. And you don't have to just select one. That's why we have many options, because, everybody is working at different times in different states on different classes. What you need in one class, you might not need in another class. So I'm just going to walk through the images here and tell you a little bit about what they are and when you might use them. So the 24/7 drop-in tutoring is a mostly text-based chat. It is 24/7. You go in there and you select like the subject area that you're looking for, and the skill that you're looking at working on. And you can do it sometimes an audio chat, sometimes a text-based chat. It's really good for like little questions or getting started on things. And they don't have a tutor for every single thing, in which case that's where peer tutoring is good. So we're going to jump down to that bottom left one. The peer tutors, and this is something that's good to know about just as a SNHU 107 student, this is something you could apply to at some point as well. The peer tutors are fantastic. They are students who have succeeded in their classes and learned a lot, gone through some training into how to support other learners on their journey. And they're available in certain content areas as well. So that's something that you could do, after a couple of terms here at SNHU, if you'd like to give back to your school community and, earn some income as well as something to put on a resume. This is a good area to consider as well. And they are just like you, so they know exactly where you've been and have really expert pro tips. And you can click on that and then you schedule a 45-minute session with them. So this is good for, if you have a couple of questions content related in the class, they're really great for that. And there's also the workshops, which are on the top right-hand corner. So if you're enjoying the experience of the webinars that you're having here, this is a really good area to try out, because we have a lot of one-to-many workshops that the academic coaches and the peer tutors both run. And they're on every single type of topic you can imagine. So things from writing to math to coding, essential studenting skills like managing procrastination or working on, written feedback and anxiety, because school stirs up a lot of things. So we have a lot of things to check out over there. In the middle is the written feedback. I saw somebody in the chat mention the written feedback. So the written feedback is fantastic. It comes back within 12 hours. A real human looks at your feedback and gives you some tips and pointers on what you might improve before your instructor takes a look at it. So this is an area too with this assignment. If you want to experience some feedback, you can try out the written feedback too, and get some feedback in this area. And then I'm one of the academic coaches, so we're right down in the middle. So the academic coaches right now, what we're doing is, if you feel like you might need a little bit more support, you've been away for a while, or you've noticed some patterns in feedback, or you're feeling really anxious about certain things, or it's really hard for you to come up with a routine and a plan to be successful in school. Anything from, some kind of back to basics academic skills to just patterns that you're hearing from your instructor. That's where you might want to do a coaching plan with one of the academic coaches. We meet over a series of 3 weeks starting, sometimes longer, depending on what the person's goal and needs are. And then we start working on that goal. So that's the academic coaching. They frequently asked questions is just that, but we also have a lot of static resources and videos that are awesome that you can find. So we have really short videos that you can walk through and access at any time as well in our area. That's the whole shebang. That's all of us.
So much, right, y'all? There is so much support here for your success at the university, and just with and their menu of services alone. So if you have kind of clicked on that academic support menu and it was just like, whoa, this is a lot. What are all these things? I hope that this run helped you see like where you might find something that works best for you and what you're looking for. I had a student tell me earlier this term, like, I'm just going to click one on a time and check them all out. And they did, like, they attended a workshop. And then, like, the next week, they submitted their writing using the written feedback tool. And then they use like the 24/7 tutoring. So it was just kind of like an easy way for them to like stick their toe in the water and see kind of what was for them out there. And they loved multiple of the services, but they've used written feedback every week. And it makes a difference in your guys' assignment. So just know that. Allison, as students start to put together their final project or any other larger writing assignments they might have, this term or future terms, is there any common things that they should be kind of thinking of, or like specific things that from seeing these final projects come into the written feedback area that are kind of some tips and tricks for their success?
Yes. So we both mentioned trust the template. It is good. It helps with organization. And any of the classes that have templates, it helps with the organization. And so you don't miss any of the required assignments. One of the challenges sometimes with templates is we kind of go into, I'm filling out a form mode. And so we might not put as much detail. And so even though it's a template, remember that your instructor is not a mind reader. And the best way that they can understand you and where you're coming from is if you can give them lots of examples and detail. And so when we talk about detail, that's what we're saying is just give them some examples, give them some insight into who you are and where you're coming from. So if you say, I have a hard time with managing my time, give us some examples of that. So what gets in the way? Why is it happening? How long has it been happening? Kind of paint a picture for us. Think about it as if you were talking to somebody, and you can even use a dictate tool in Microsoft Word. So if you're a person that's more of a talker than a typer, then that's always something you can just imagine that you're sitting and talking to your instructor to get it down on the page too. The other thing is double checking. So sometimes especially with the templates, but sometimes we might not notice like little errors, like missing certain words, because you're looking at the draft a lot, right? And so when we're looking at our own writing a lot, we tend to skim over some of the things that are just little minor errors. And so a good way to combat that is to have somebody else read it aloud, or you read it aloud yourself, every single word. You can pass it to somebody else in your house and have them read it out loud, but the computer also does that. So in addition to the dictate mode in Microsoft Word, there's also the read aloud mode, and that can help with checking it to see how it sounds to somebody else. And that can kind of make it feel like you're looking at it for the first time. So those are the big three, and then allowing yourself enough time to do that editing and revision. Even if it's, just stepping away for an hour and coming back to it before you submit it is a really important thing.
Such great tips, y'all. Such great tips. Like there's just a lot of ways for you to make sure that your writing makes sense and that you've answered all pieces and parts of each question. And Allison really hit the nail on the head with, I will tell you as I go through and grade these assignments, sometimes the answer is great. Like, yes, that's a great answer, but tell me more. So as you're reviewing your answers and as you're reviewing the work that you submit, like make sure, like think about it for a second. If somebody else is reading this that doesn't know me very well, am I giving them enough information to make like a whole thought, right? And to give them kind of the full picture. That's one of the big things that I like to tell students, like, this is great. This is a great start, but tell me more. And then they'll be like, oh my gosh, and then they'll tell me, and it's like, that was the whole thing. That's what they needed. So just remember when you're kind of reviewing stuff and kind of looking through things, and there are a lot of resources for your support. But along with that, Allison and I talk about this project pretty much a whole week early, right? We're in module 6, I guess, like half a week early. You don't have anything due until that Sunday of week 7, but we like to talk about it early so it gives you a chance to kind of get started. And for some of you, you might want to break this project down and work on it piece by piece. We have some students that print the template out and they like hand write it in, and then they go back and type it up. Whatever works for you, that's what you want to do. But we know, where are you guys at? Where are our procrastinators? We're all guilty of it at some point. I always joke that it's like, procrastination is a skill, y'all. It's a skill to put things off sometimes that bad or that big, right? But life also happens, and life can surprise us, and our best laid plans can easily go in opposite direction. And know that you're not going to be the first or last student that has ever happened to. So if your week gets away from you and what you thought you were going to get done, you're not able to get done, but you still want to turn it in by that Sunday deadline. Allison, what are some tips you have for them if life's, as you say, or if they procrastinate on purpose?
So, and procrastination can sometimes, a big root of procrastination, I saw somebody type it in the chat, is that perfectionism and wanting it to be absolutely perfect. And so sometimes if you wait up to the wire, it feels like this isn't going to be perfect, so why submit it? But that's what Melanie's saying, and what I'm saying is make sure no matter what you submit it, because that's your feeling. Your instructor could think it's a beautiful assignment and perfect. And so that's the first thing with procrastination, is make sure you get it turned in, period. That's the most important thing. Some points are always better than 0 points, and you may be surprised. It may be something really, really beautiful. You can still use a lot of the strategies that we talked about, even if you're really right up to the wire. If you get all the thoughts down using that dictate button, go back over and edit it. Sometimes talking is faster than typing. Or if you wrote it out on a piece of paper, you can then read it and put it into the computer that way, and then step away from it even for 5 minutes, just so that you have a fresh set of eyes. You won't be able to do the written feedback because that takes 12 hours, but you can get somebody else's opinion, and you can use that read aloud software to hear it for the first time and double check, make sure you're running the spell check, the grammar check, the free version of Grammarly that you have in the discussion board you can kind of run. So there's a lot of things that you can do to make sure that it's the best work that you can get in on the wire. And also just be in touch with your instructor. Be honest about it too. And remember, there's that comment section when you submit your assignment. So if you're feeling anxious about the assignment or certain parts about it, you can always say something to your instructor as you're submitting it too. And stay in communication. I think I covered everything.
You did. Such great advice, Allison. And I will tell you, as an instructor, I have students leave me notes when they're submitting their assignments, like the final project or journal assignments, all the time. They might be like, "Hey, my week fell apart. I'm getting this in. Like, this is my best work." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, you nailed it," or vice versa. So, but it's good to know kind of where you guys are at, and always communicate. Like if something comes up, we know that life happens. It happens to us too, as your faculty and your support systems. Reach out, send that email to your instructor. So many students are nervous or hesitant to reach out to their faculty. And I'm telling you that we want you to do well. We want you to be successful. So please reach out if you have questions, no matter how big or small, or you're concerned about something or you can't find something, because when we can help you, you're not going to have to stress and worry about it. So let us do that for y'all. So a couple of just real quick reminders for success, and then I'm going to hop into the classroom quick to show you guys where to find the template and where to find the example. All right. So just a few reminders. Know how you're graded. Use that rubric. It's in every single module. Tells you what you're going to be graded on and how the point system works. Use that academic success plan or that final project template. You just open it right up like you have all those past journal assignments, and you type directly in it, y'all. Nothing new there. Okay. If you decide to kind of create your own document, please, please, please make sure that you have all pieces and parts of the template. All right. Use your resources. We've talked about a ton of things that the academic support team offers you here, but also reach out to your instructor if you're stuck. Come back to the learning community. Watch the videos, ask questions if you have questions, reach out to your advisor. And the biggest thing is be yourself as you're answering these questions. Don't be somebody else. This is your paper. This is you or your project. This is you putting together and connecting all the dots and just kind of talking about what you've learned this term. and then how you're going to kind of like finish your term strong, but also the things that worked well for you this term, how you're going to keep them going as you move from class to class. And then if you struggled in some areas, y'all, this is the best time to put those things in place for your success of how you're going to do well. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys a quick classroom tour. Hold one sec. I'm going to turn my camera off just real quick because my screen is just being kind of a little bit silly, and I want to make sure that you all can still hear me okay, right? So the biggest thing is that when you log into your classroom space, as we mentioned, up here at the top, you have that academic support button, right, everybody? That is where you click on it, and it's going to pull up that menu of services that are here for you from the academic support team. So I wanted to show you all that first, because sometimes students are like, remind me where I click again, okay? I also see the questions about, are you supposed to use the same answers from your assignments? I'm going to go through that, so hold tight here real quick. When you go to look for Module 7, go into course menu, learning modules like always, right? When you go into learning modules, we're going to go down to Module 7. Look how close we're getting to the end. So with Module 7, a couple of things I want to point out. One, you're going to see this 7-1 discussion. It is a not graded discussion opportunity. Okay, everybody? So just know that there is a discussion space where if you want to share tips for how you've put together your final project, or things that have been helpful for you this term, or things that you've done that you want to share with your classmates, or you have a question about doing something relevant to the project, this is where you can post those questions. Don't post any pieces or parts of your project here. Again, it's not required. It's not graded. It's just here if you wanted to share some things or you have some questions, okay? The actual project itself is located underneath this 7-2 project submission, the academic success plan. As always, click on the guidelines and rubric, and as y'all know, it opens up that whole overview of the assignment, right? So as you read through the overview and the directions, it's going to list all of the questions you're going to be answering for your final project. What I want you to hone in on is a couple of things. One, that project rubric is down here at the bottom for each question and how you're going to be graded and what the criteria is, okay? What I want to make sure you see is under this what to submit, you have this academic success plan template. Like before, any of the templates you use for the journal, just like that, you click on the blue, it's going to open up the document that you can type in, right? You'll open it up and you can type right in it. What I want to point out is underneath this supporting material section, you all will see a project example and the project template. This project template is the same exact thing as what's up here. I'm not sure why they have it named different in two different places. It tends to confuse students, but just know it's the same exact document. So no matter where you click, it's the same document, okay? But what I really want to point out is there's a project example. This is so helpful. If you click on that, it's going to open up a completed final project. Now, a couple of things to know about this completed final project is, first and foremost, don't copy and paste it and utilize any of it for your own work, okay? Every single instructor has it. This will flag turn it in faster than you can say turn it in, okay? So just know that. But what this project example does do is give you a great start and a great plan for how writing your final project, okay? So I saw the questions in the chat, like, can we just copy and paste our answers? What I'm going to tell you is, for example, there's some questions about problem solving, prioritizing your time that are very similar to some other assignments that you have done. You may be able to take some of the work you've already done and help you in Module 7. However, it might not be an exact match. So pay attention to what the question is asking and all the pieces and parts. The only section that you really, if you had no changes, that it should be a copy and paste situation verbatim, if you had no changes, no recommendations for edits, should be that mission and those 3 short-term goals. Does that answer that question for those of you that had it? I'm going to run through this project just real quick. I know your guys' time is precious and we're a little bit over, but I want to make sure that we go through all of these pieces. If you struggled on an assignment, this term and you're not sure of how to answer some things, I would reach out directly to your instructor and see if you could redo that assignment, or see if you can just make sure you're on the right track for those same kind of questions in Module 7. And we're going to talk about the mission and goal section here as I get to it, okay? So, for example, question number 1 is to identify a problem-solving technique or method that you have used in a previous situation and explain how it helped you. Keep in mind that even though you might have just what it'll say number 1, there might be multiple questions underneath the question. Okay, so this question has to identify that problem solving technique or method and how it helped you. But then how might problem solving methods be different in diverse cultures or fields of work? And then a third part of the question, how can effective problem solving help you on an academic journey? So you will notice that this student choose to bullet each question and give it an answer, okay? So you'll notice that they put at the top, like they've used the trial and error problem solving method. This has helped them in many situations, and here is why, okay? And then they put for the second one, problem solving might look different in different fields of work. And they gave an example. Examples and details are always so helpful, okay? Part 1, question 3 over there was effective problem solving can help them in their academic journey because it'll improve communication skills with people and help them gain confidence. Okay, so does that make sense how you have one question, but there's kind of 3 parts? And an easy way to lay this out is this student chose to bullet the different pieces of it. Give details, give examples, write in complete sentences. If you want to number it, totally fine. This is just a great way to show you how to get started, okay? And I think I saw a question. Daniel, you had a question if you got kicked out or something. This was recorded. And again, let me answer that question about the previous work and utilizing it again. You will have some questions on this final project that are very similar to work you've done previously in SNHU 107. You may be able to use pieces and parts of what you've previously done in the project, but keep in mind you want to make sure you're actually answering the question, so you might have to change some things. The only part where you could copy and paste would be the mission and short-term goals, those 3 short-term goals and your mission statement, if you didn't have any changes, okay? Question 2. Identify your learning style and explain how knowing your learning style helps support your success this term. Okay, so what was your learning style? Remember when we talked about learning styles earlier in the term? Go back to that if you don't remember. Go back to that, list your learning style, and then share like how knowing that or learning about that helps support your success this term. Again, your answers, share examples, give the details. Question 3, identify which of the 5 successful habits of an SNHU student have been most helpful for you throughout this course. Explain how those habits have helped you. So notice here, 5 successful habits of an SNHU student. Do you guys remember that when we covered that? So go back to those 5 successful habits that are earlier in the term and look and see like which ones really helped you best. This student explained that there was 2 of the 5 that really shone brightly for them. And that was logging in early and reaching out for help. And then you'll notice they explain like they logged in early every Monday morning to kind of make a plan for the week. And then like they reached out and watched the learning community videos and knew that like they could ask for help if they got stuck on something. Is this helping kind of understand like how to answer this, y'all? It's not, don't overthink it. Like when you look at the question, just be like, oh, this is what I did, or oh, this is why this helped me, and give the details and give the information. Question 4, explain how you will stay on track in your courses and overcome interruptions that may impact your schedule. So again, think back or just use the day that you're in. Like, what are the things that like interrupt my schedule consistently? The people or the things, right? What are the things that you need to do, or maybe that like you did that helped you stay on track through the term? Share them. Again, pay attention to making sure that you answer all pieces and parts on the question, because this again says like explain how you will stay on track in your courses and overcome interruptions. Okay, everybody. Question 5. This is to choose 2 SNHU resources and gives a reminder. SNHU resources, y'all, are departments, the people, places, and things that are part of SNHU. So I like to think of SNHU resources as the SNHU people. They're from the university, part of the university, okay? So you're going to pick 2 of those, and then you're also going to pick 2 social supports. Remember, social supports are outside of SNHU. So your advisor is not a social support. Your best friend is not an SNHU resource, right? Advisor is an SNHU resource. Best friend is a social support. Okay, just make sure when you're like listing these or addressing them, you have the right ones in the right places. So you're supposed to choose 2 for each one. So you'll notice the way that this student did it, they listed SNHU resource 1, their instructor, and then explained why and how. Did the same thing for their second resource. They put academic support, they put why they picked them, how it's going to help them prioritize their time and meet their mission and goals, right? And then they listed their 2 social supports, their best friend and their partner, and explained why and gave details. So that makes sense, everybody? So you can organize this in a way that works best for you. This just gives you kind of a way to kind of keep it clean and keep it easy. Notice that things are still short and not not paragraphs long, but it gives you the details in a concise way that gives examples, but also gives you the whole picture. Okay. Now this next part, number 6 and number 7, this is where you write your academic mission statement and those 3 short-term goals. This is where you want to look back at week 4, module 4. If you didn't miss any points, that means that your academic mission statement and your 3 short-term goals, go back to that assignment, copy and paste. Make sure you put your whole entire mission statement and then make sure that you have all 3 goals. It never fails when there is somebody copying and pasting or redoing this. They forget a goal or 2, or they forget part of their mission statement. It happens all the time. So again, check all the pieces and parts to make sure you have everything, okay? If you had changes to that assignment, maybe you struggled with your short-term goals, maybe you needed to add some detail, or maybe they weren't clear enough, or maybe you kind of were missing some pieces or parts from your mission statement. Look back at what your instructor actually told you in that graded feedback. Go back and look at it. And if you're not sure what they're asking for, reach out. Send them a quick email. Be like, hey, I'm working on my final project. I saw I had some changes for week 4. I want to make sure I'm on the right track. Okay, so that is where you want to make sure that you make those changes, because I'll tell you, as I grade these in my Stream 107 class, I will look at the final project, the mission and goals, and I'll compare it to what you did in week 4, just to make sure if I had changes that I wanted you to make or recommended that you made them. Does that make sense, everybody? Does that help answer those questions about that assignment? I know that's kind of the biggest one that a lot of students are like, wait, I might have some changes. Then make sure you make them and then put them in module 7. And make sure, again, you have all. Remember, you have to have 3 goals in an academic mission statement. So double check that you have all 3 goals, all right? Question 8, we're almost done, y'all. Describe the importance of setting goals on your academic journey. So be honest. Why is it important to you to set goals for your academic journey? Share your thoughts. Question 9, explain how you're going to stay motivated to achieve your goals and mission statement based on what you have learned in SNHU 107. So again, share your personal how you're going to stay motivated and what you've learned. So you'll notice this student put like, I'm my biggest motivator. They have to make a to-do list every week. They know they can use SNHU resources and they have some plans in place, but they're also going to do some little small rewards like celebrating with their family when they get things done or do well on something. So share those things. Question 10, explain why an awareness of diversity is beneficial to giving and receiving feedback when collaborating with others. So this is really similar to what we just worked on or are working on here in week 6, right? When we talked about feedback and working and collaborating with others. So again, make sure you answer the question with your thoughts and feedback. It's a topic you've done before. We're just connecting the dots here, okay? Question 11, explain why it is important to take ownership, be vulnerable, ask for help, and have an open mind to achieve your goals. So you'll notice that this student just explained that like they learned this term that being vulnerable is actually a strength. They thought that maybe asking for help or being vulnerable like said that they were like weak, but when they need it, it was important for them to like ask for help and reach out, listen to others, and kind of have an open mind. So use and share what you think, okay? The last one, question 12, to round out your final project is explain what your biggest takeaway was from this course. So what is the number one thing that you learned or the number one thing you're not going to forget? You know, do you want to share that? So for this student, their biggest takeaway is that SNHU wants them to succeed on their academic journey. They got a lot of resources, and now they feel comfortable using them. So that was something that like stuck out the biggest to this student for this assignment. Okay, so that is it, y'all. That is the final project. Then you'll save it and you will upload it right to module 7. And remember, it is due on the Sunday of module 7. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't missing anything else. Okay, perfect. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat real quick. That's it. The biggest thing is with this project, y'all, don't overthink it. I tell students all the time that you've already done the work. You have already talked about all of these concepts. You've already talked about the terminology. You've already worked on assignments, whether it was in the discussion or maybe it was a journal assignment or even a warm-up quiz. You've already covered all the content. So now literally all you're doing is looking at these questions and giving your thoughts. Be yourself. Again, do what works best for you. I have students that will pull up the template and they'll use that dictate mode in Microsoft Word, like Allison has talked about, and they'll just talk through each question and then go back and edit it. That has really helped them. I have some students that tell me they print the template off and they kind of jot down their notes and then they go back to the computer and they fill it out. You just have to do what works for you. And you've already done the work. Yes, this assignment is a large chunk of your grades, but you've already done it all. So now you're just kind of like putting it all together into one document to really showcase like what you've learned, what has stood out to you this term, how you're going to be able to use these concepts moving forward in class to class. That's it. All right. So don't stress. This is why we talk about it early so that y'all have plenty of time to put this together. Questions? Did that help? Does it make sense, like what you're doing, where to find things, how to find the example? A lot of students will go right by that example and they're like stuck and they're not sure what to do or how to find things. So I always like to make sure that y'all can find those examples and that you see where everything is. Thank you guys so much for spending your part of your day with Allison and I. It's so wonderful to be able to actually like interact with y'all like in person. We are so proud of you here at SNHU. You have made it to week 6. I know it takes a lot of time and energy and kind of getting used to all the things when you add school to an already busy schedule for the first time or for the first time in a long time. So just know we're here for you. We believe in you. These assignments are one of the favorite assignments of the entire term. I have taught SNHU 107 for like 11 years, y'all. So I have seen many of these projects and I'm telling you, they're one of my favorite assignments. So be yourself, be you, and just remember, you absolutely got this. So good day, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember, this will be uploaded here within the next 24 hours to the First Year Experience YouTube page. You can go back and watch it as many times as you need to. If you get stuck, if you have questions, reach out to me in the learning community, reach out to your instructor if it's about anything that you've had graded or you're not sure about something that you need to do. Utilize the academic support team menu of services. Like there's a lot at your fingertips. We 100% believe in you. So now go get them and have an amazing week 6. You got this, y'all. Allison, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. You've got this. You're going to rock it. Thanks, Melanie.